Edward Chen adjusted his neural interface, the crystalline implant behind his ear pulsing with bioluminescent blue as he processed the incoming data stream. The forest around Forward Operating Base Cascade stretched endlessly, ancient Douglas firs piercing the perpetual mist that had settled over the Pacific Northwest since the Zytherian occupation began 3 months prior. "Contact in Sector 7, Jenny Reeves whispered through their quantum-encrypted channel, her voice arriving in his auditory cortex without ever touching air. "Thermal signature doesn't match any known Zytherian morphology." Edward crouched lower behind the camouflaged barrier, his enhanced vision cycling through electromagnetic spectrums. The Navy SEAL insignia on his tactical suit had been modified. Humanity's most elite warriors now served as resistance fighters against an enemy that had crossed 47 light-years to claim Earth's rare element deposits. "Confirmed," Edward replied, watching the heat bloom move between the trees with surprising grace for something registering at 2.4 meters tall. "Mass approximately 270 kilograms. Bipedal locomotion. Could be a Zytherian scout in adaptive camouflage." Jenny materialized beside him, her own augmentations rendering her nearly invisible until she chose otherwise. The slap mark across Edward's left cheek, bright red and clearly handwritten in bioluminescent Zytherian script, caught her attention immediately. "They marked you," she said, her voice tight with controlled anger. "What does it say?" Edward's translator algorithms had already parsed it. "Defective specimen. Property of Commander Zixthul, 7th Expeditionary Legion." The humiliation burned deeper than the physical strike that had left it. 2 days ago, during a failed extraction operation, Edward had been captured briefly. The Zytherian officer had examined him like livestock, then struck him across the face with a genetic marker that would fade in 72 hours, long enough to broadcast his failure to anyone with the right sensors. The thermal signature moved closer. Edward raised his plasma rifle, the weapon humming as it drew power from his suit's fusion cell. Jenny flanked left, her movements perfectly synchronized through their tactical mesh network. Then it stepped into view. Not a Zytherian, not even close. The creature stood upright on powerful legs covered in reddish-brown hair that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its face was surprisingly humanoid, flat nose, deep-set eyes that glowed with unmistakable intelligence. Edward's threat assessment algorithms faltered, finding no match in any database. "Hold fire," Jenny breathed. The creature, Edward's mind supplied the impossible word, Sasquatch, tilted its massive head, studying them with curiosity rather than aggression. Then its eyes fixed on Edward's face, on the mark. What happened next would be debated in xenobiology departments for decades. The Sasquatch's eyes changed. The gentle curiosity crystallized into something harder, something that Edward's pattern recognition software flagged with a single word: rage. It moved with impossible speed for something so large, not toward them but past them, heading directly for the Zytherian patrol base 3 kilometers north. Edward and Jenny exchanged glances through their HUDs, then followed. They found the patrol base in chaos. The Sasquatch had torn through the perimeter defenses like tissue paper. Zytherian soldiers, each one a genetically engineered warrior from a civilization that had conquered 17 star systems, lay scattered across the compound, not dead, but systematically disabled. The creature had shown disturbing precision, targeting their neural clusters and weapon systems while leaving them alive but helpless. Commander Zixthul, the officer who had marked Edward, stood frozen against the command bunker wall. The Sasquatch loomed over him, one massive hand pressed against the alien's thorax. Through Edward's enhanced vision, he could see something extraordinary happening. Bioluminescent patterns, similar to the mark on his face, were spreading across the Zytherian's exoskeleton. But these weren't words. They were equations, complex mathematical proofs that Edward's augmented mind struggled to process. "It's rewriting his genetic permissions," Jenny whispered, her voice awed. "Those are Zitherian control codes. Military grade." The Sasquatch released Zixthul, who collapsed, his command implants now dark and dead. Then the creature turned to Edward and Jenny. For a long moment, it simply looked at them. Then it raised one hand, the gesture unmistakably human, and pointed at Edward's marked face. The bioluminescent script began to fade, breaking down at the molecular level. Edward's tactical AI pinged with an incoming data packet. Not through his military channels, through something far older, a quantum frequency that predated human civilization. The translation appeared in his vision. "We were here first. We remained hidden. But we remember what it means to be marked as lesser. Your war is not ours, but your dignity is." "What are you?" Edward asked aloud, though he knew his vocal cords were unnecessary. The response came in pure mathematics, a language beyond words. "We are the ones who watched your species emerge. We are the prototype you never knew existed. We are what happens when evolution is given 7 million years of uninterrupted development in isolation." The Sasquatch turned to leave, then paused. "Another data packet. The Zitherians mark what they consider property. We mark what we consider sacred. You are not property. You are kin." As it disappeared into the forest, Jenny ran analysis on the disabled Zitherian forces. "Edward, look at this. That genetic rewrite, it's not just disabling their implants, it's broadcasting a message across their entire tactical network." Edward pulled up the translation. Written in flawless Zitherian military protocol. "This world has guardians you do not understand. Mark her children again, and face extinction." Within 6 hours, the Zitherian 7th Expeditionary Legion had withdrawn to orbit. Within 3 days, they had left Earth's solar system entirely. The war wasn't over, but it had fundamentally changed. Humanity had discovered they weren't alone on their own planet, and that sometimes the oldest mysteries made the most powerful allies. Edward looked at his reflection in a darkened screen. The mark was completely gone. In its place, barely visible even to his enhanced vision, was a new pattern. Not ownership, recognition. He finally understood what the Sasquatch had meant. Dignity wasn't given, it was defended. And in a universe full of empires and conquerors, sometimes the strongest defense came from those who had perfected the art of remaining hidden, until the moment they chose to be seen.